hard to tell from the trailer. Are you good guy or a bad guy?
That's good that you can't tell. I think
Yeah,
that's
right.
because most people have said, "Oh, you're evil," and I'm hoping to project, and I certainly think the writers are trying to project a character who we know is on the bad side, but has a lot of different factors pushing him, and he's like everybody, was just a citizen. Maybe was the vice principal of a high school in the suburbs and found his way into a very unique position through this terror. And I'm not saying that could happen to anybody, but the question is, what would you do if all of a sudden you were presented with circumstances way beyond anything you ever imagined? What kind of choices would you make? So I think he's a good guy. He's a good man, but he's in a really tricky spot, and he's doing the wrong thing a lot. And again, we'll see as the show goes on. He's got to be tough out of the gate, but I think we'll see that he'll evolve, and you'll learn more about him.
Are we going to learn everything about this invasion? I mean, do we get the whole...
Not right away, and that's part of the beauty of the pilot, and I think what serves notice for what will be a great series is that the tension is really deep, really quick, and there's not a lot of knowledge. You get a family that we recognize as, having breakfast in their house, but there are little hints, the barbed wire, there's a pan shot when you outside the house, you see there's barbed wire on top of their fence, and a normal family with 3 kids living in Los Angeles doesn't have like prison barbed wire on their fence. They hold for a while on the shot of the middle child. You realize he's not there. There's panic over a dropped egg. These are things that indicate and hint that something is really, really wrong. And fortunately, these writers are smart enough to mete that out over a whole season. Obviously, within a few minutes, what the basic, what's going on. But I think it's really smart to find out slowly just what's really at stake.
What's it exactly about Colony that made you want to do the show? Is there something particular?
You read a good script and it smacks you in the face like a ton of bricks, and it just did, and the character was great. For me, what was especially intriguing about the role is that you would think, the first take I would think, oh, this is going to be like a big bad guy, the big, tall, scary-looking, gruff, tough guy, because that's the role he's playing, and that's not me. I'm not the kind of guy you would go to for that kind of role. So I thought the fact that there was sort of this mutual interest in the audition process going, I thought, well, they have an interesting take on this bad guy. They see him as more of a normal guy, and so the less we know, but the less we can assume correctly about a character, the better off we are. And so that uncertainty was what drew me to the role. And just great writers. And what am I going to say? No, thank you. I don't want to work with Colton Cuse. So all the stuff I said was bullshit. He said, you want to play the part? I said, yeah.
Anybody you looked at to model your character? Historical?
My father. And no. Historically, that's interesting. I mean, they talked about one of the inspirations for the show was pictures of Paris under the occupation. I don't see him as a Mussolini or a Hitler, although, ironically. There are many, many characters throughout history who have shown that they are not unwilling to wield power given to them and damage people's lives. So there's any number of those to draw from. But again, he's I don't know much about Mussolini or what kind of a guy he was before he became Generalissimo. If I was a vice principal of a high school and all of a sudden he's on top and bad, that's a unique story. I don't know I could model that on anybody, which is nice.
Did they give you much detail about his backstory?
Well, Ryan and I talked about that idea. That, I mean, again, I'm not sure they were always picturing the character that way, but he said one of the things that we liked about what you brought to it was that we don't know how, where he came from, and that he might really have come. I thought my first take was that I was like a bad Hollywood agent who was just, again, found himself after this arrival. I had, was sort of skilled at sucking up to the right people or the right things, and here I am on top. So really not a lot of information, which you don't want too much as an actor, and they start leading you places where you want to find yourself. So it was a nice balance of what I knew and what I didn't know.
Did we see the actual thing take place
You do know. I don't know what's coming after the pilot. You might see elements of it, but as you saw in the trailer, there are things that look not of this earth. But it's all about this earth, which is what's great. I don't know what we'll see. We'll see some. The less they show, and the less they're not showing a lot, and that's what's tense about it. It's easy to show the weapons and show the explosions and show the takeover, but God, if that's not happening, some kind of disaster is happening in every movie that comes out. So we don't need that. What we need is the tension that builds around a family, around a community, around a city when life is very different and very scary. So that's what we see, and I think that's what makes it great.
So you describe it more as a character-driven drama.
I think so. That's absolutely. But it is a character-driven sci-fi drama. I think. Well, it's character-driven drama with a strong sci-fi bent. But as long as it's character-driven, I think in this age of huge high concept and special effects, we're always hungry for really, really deep, well fleshed out relationships and characters, and that's what this will deliver in spades. So the events around it and the situation, it's like falling off a log for us, because that's already there, that's tense. If the characters are interesting and real, and these two are sensational, Sarah and Josh, it's I think going to be really good.
Did you learn whether you knew them before the invasion? Like, were you friendly with them around any time?
My sense is that you'll see from the pilot that it looks like it's a new relationship.
Okay.
Certainly mine and Josh. Again, you never know, and it's Carlton, so it could go any number of ways, but logically it seems like this is a first-time meeting, and that's probably the smartest. Yeah.
You were saying it's a character-driven drama. What about the structure? It will be more serialized with lots of mythology, or more the mystery of the week?
I don't know. I wish I knew. I wish I could say, but I've been instructed not to say too much. It won't be. I don't know. What I'd be saying now would be bullshit. I don't really know. Good question. I wish I could give you an answer.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.